Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the injury news ahead of the match tomorrow with Chelsea. So Ruben Amorim has said that Dalot is out, but Mason, Mount and Cunha are in the squad. Leitcher is still out, and that's it. So that's a big injury boost ahead of the game tomorrow to have Mason Mount and Mateus Cunha back in the squad. Whether he'll start them both, who knows? But it does create a bit more of a selection headache, I think, for Amorim, because do we revert back to what we were doing before, which was Mount and Cunha up front, Mount in behind with Mbumo? I don't know. Where does that leave Sesko? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the team. He didn't give anything else away ahead of the selections and stuff as well, but massive boost, headache for Amorim, but give us your thoughts. What do you reckon? I would like we've just spent all this money on the new front three, right? Let's start seeing it for me. Sesko, Cunha, and Mbumo as your front three. Get them together, get them playing. They haven't really played together yet this season, and we need to build that dynamic up and get them firing and get them playing together. So for me, I would go for that, which is a shame for Mount, but unlucky he's injury prone all the time. I don't think you can rely on Mason Mount, although he's been, it's not been a massive amount of time this time. And I think him coming off the bench as well would maybe give us a little bit more of a, could be an impact player to come off the bench as well and run around and chase a game and harry a game as well. But for me, I want to see that front three. I want to see it firing. But again, bit of a selection headache for Ruben Amorim. There was no questions, though, in the press conference around Saint-Lemons. We don't know what's happening with the goalkeeper situation. Maybe that will come out in the embargo part of the press conference. That was a bit of a shame that he wasn't asked regarding the goalkeeper situation as well. Now, just a couple of things I'll quickly mention on the press conference that I picked up on. So Ruben Amorim said, "I think we are playing well until the boxes, defending and attacking. We need to be more aggressive in the boxes. We need to be more clinical. The rest, I think we are improving compared to last year." So Ruben Amorim, and I think he's kind of right in what he's saying there, that, up until both penalty areas, in the middle, I think our pressing is looking a little bit better. We are a little bit better on the ball because our possession stats back that up as well with having a little bit more of the ball. I don't think we're as panicky when we're being pressed, playing out from the back as well. Still needs improving. It's not perfect, but compared to where we were, I think it is a step in the right direction until both penalty areas, because we cannot defend and we're letting runners go past us all the time in the box, and up until we get forward as well. So I do agree, but unfortunately that's where games are won and lost, isn't it? Is in both penalty areas. So yeah, we do need to improve there. But Ruben Amorim saying, look, in the middle of the park, everything up until those areas we're actually improving on, but we need to be more clinical. I would agree, and we need to defend better. I agree as well, and not necessarily defend better, just stop making mistakes at the back, not tracking runners, and obviously the goalkeeper is a part of the issue, which is why I'm gutted that you didn't get any questions around the goalkeeper position. But like I said, maybe something will come out in the embargo part of the press conference, but give us your shouts on that in the comments. And then this was really interesting, actually, when he's asked on his remarks after the City loss about possible behind-the-scenes issues. So he said, "You probably already know. I'm sure you've been around long enough to have your sources to figure out what I meant. My focus is now on Chelsea." So after the City game, if you remember, or if you saw it, he basically said, "Look, I've had a lot to cope with over the last few months as well, stuff that you don't know about." And then he was asked again what he meant by that in this press conference, and he basically said, "Look, you probably already know because you've got your sources to figure out exactly what I meant." And I want to know what's going on. I want to know what he means by that as well. Do you? Give us some theories. Give us some thoughts in the comments as well. Is he talking to, issues with the board and the transfer window, not getting players? Is he talking about maybe the bomb squad having difficulties getting them out, more player unrest behind the scenes, agents kicking off? What is it? What is it that's sort of going on behind the scenes? Because I'd love to know, because that might answer a few of our questions as well. Because if he's still putting out fires behind the scenes, then maybe it would explain a lot of what's going on the pitch and a lot behind his thought process as well. But obviously we'll have to just wait and see how things like that get leaked in the media and stuff. But yeah, give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Now, before all of this, there was you've probably already seen by now, but I'm going to, for those who haven't seen it, there was a report come out from the Athletic saying that Manchester United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe flew into the club's Carrington training ground in a helicopter on Thursday for a series of meetings, including with the team's head coach Ruben Amorim. United sources, speaking anonymously as they are not authorised to speak publicly on the matter, insisted Ratcliffe's visit to Carrington was long planned and included time with Amorim. However, the team's form was on the agenda and Ratcliffe was seeking to work through issues facing Amorim at the club. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe flew to Carrington yesterday as part of a planned meeting that he regularly has with, the CEO and Amorim and everything like that as well. No doubt they've had a conversation around what's going on the pitch, because why would you not if you're co-owner of Manchester United and you're investing millions of pounds into the infrastructure and everything that Sir Jim has. I actually like that as well, because it's better than what we've had with the Glazers, where we've heard fuck all from them for 20 years, apart from when every year when they take their dividends out up until recently. So I actually like the fact we've got an owner that is a little bit more hands-on and wanting to understand what's going on with the football club as well. And, I've said before in previous videos, I'd like to hope that the hierarchy, Barada and Wilcox and Sir Jim and people like that are actually around the place will be able to understand a little bit more what's going on. Previously, when we had Woodward and Murta and stuff, they were all based in London and weren't really involved in what was going on. And the manager was being left to deal with all of the problems behind the scenes as well, which is unfair, because that's not, shouldn't be their sort of job role. Ruben Amorim's a head coach now. He's there to coach the players and get them do the on-field stuff. And we've now got support in place which should be dealing with all the nonsense off the field. But that's the way I look at it anyway. So I actually don't mind Sir Jim coming in and getting involved, because, I would be asking the questions, wouldn't you, if you were a part owner of Man United? Would you not want to know what's going on in the pitch, what the manager's thinking, why he's making certain decisions, what's happening? And I would definitely want to know for sure, directly from the horse's mouth as well. So, but yeah, nothing sinister in it. It wasn't like he's flown in to give everyone a bollocking or anything. It was already pre-planned, although he might have done that anyway. Fabrizio Romano said during the meeting between Amorim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they talked about the manager's viewpoint as well as his comments from the press conference. So obviously they've had a conversation between Amorim and Sir Jim around, where he's coming from. Romano did say that Amorim's still adamant. He's not changing. He doesn't think it's the style of play or the system that's the problem. He thinks it is a player mentality issue. That was what, Romano saying, that he's adamant it's not a problem with the system. Interestingly, though, Ben Jacobs has come up with the following. So the headline is Ruben Amorim giving ultimatum over Manchester United future as Sir Jim Ratcliffe issues strict demand. So this has come out after the press conference, saying that Ruben Amorim has been tasked with qualifying for European football this season. Manchester United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe flew into the club's Carrington training ground on Thursday and stressed to Amorim the need for on-field results to improve. Despite this, Ratcliffe believes the United squad assembled is capable of a top 5 finish, although Champions League is not the stated or budgeted goal for 25-26. So Ben Jacobs saying that Ratcliffe, and this is not the first time we've heard this as well, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe thinks that we've got a squad capable of finishing in the top 5 in the Champions League positions, although the budget for what they're budgeting for, what they're planning for to be able to spend in the future is at least European football. That's the bare minimum that is expected from the Ruben Amorim this season. It's like Europa League, for example. But Sir Jim still believes that we're capable of getting in the Champions League, and I wonder where obviously if results don't improve, there's going to be a cut-off at some point in time where we start looking at the form of other clubs and the league position and, how many points we're behind certain areas or how far off we are achieving those targets as well. I think might be the ultimate nail in the coffin of Amorim if they are going to look to remove him if results don't improve. Interestingly, Fabrizio Romano, though, said do not underestimate the involvement of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He wants to know why Man United are not performing at the level that they should be. So, Sir Jim's come in and wants to basically understand what's going on with everything. And he's not entirely faultless as well, because I do think mistakes have been made in the transfer market positionally, but, it is what it is. And and he wants to understand what's going on. Which why wouldn't you if you're the co-owner and you're investing, all of these millions of pounds into the infrastructure and the team, and he's doing more for United than the Glazers ever have done. Like he's put more in than the Glazers ever have. So I like the fact that he's also saying, well, hold on, what am I getting value for money-wise? Because what I'm watching on the pitch is pretty turd at the moment, or the results have been pretty turd. So, like, he wants to understand exactly what's going on. And I suppose, ultimately, depending on what's been said and the way the results improve, there'll be a decision made. Simon Stone said, though, that United have privately dismissed a report Ruben Amorim has 3 games to save his job, although it is clear defeats by Chelsea, Brentford and Sunderland before the October international break would test their faith to the maximum. And I would suggest that if we lose those 3 games, then there would definitely be the need to make or do something in the international break as well, because I don't think we should be losing all three of those games. That's for sure. And interestingly, though, on going back to the press conference, on the meeting itself, Ruben Amorim said new contract. On what he was discussed in the meeting with Amorim, he joked and said new contract. He was offering me a new contract, and he laughed. He said no, it was normal things to show his support, explaining that this is a long project. He said many times, this is my first season. For me, it's not, but normal things. So that's actually encouraging that Sir Jim, while he's got the expectations and stuff, seems to maybe be grounding a little bit more of Amorim, just to maybe show a bit of support, because he does like him. But also saying that effectively they see it as his first season, even though, obviously, we know that it wasn't because he came in last season, so it's not effectively his first season. But that's the way maybe the club are looking at it after the preseason. That might have been something they discussed before he signed as well. Because if you remember when we got Amorim, he didn't want to come mid-season, and maybe he said, "Look, if I come mid-season, it's going to be really shit, and you have to be patient with me for that." But then the expectation is maybe this season we start to see improvements and start to see performances get better and results get better as well. But maybe that was a conversation that they had before he actually took the job last year as well. But who knows? And then he also said, I spoke with him, Omar and Jason, trying to see all the data around the team. So a normal meeting, and we had several. But in this moment, it's normal. People pay attention to that. So I think Amorim playing it down a little bit, just saying, look, because of the pressure and everything like that at the moment, it's going to be a little bit dramatized that Sir Jim's flown in on helicopter for emergency crisis meetings, and all the headlines you would have seen dotted around the place over the last couple of days. But it was a scheduled meeting. But interesting that a few things have come out about it as well. So expectation for this season, European football, that'll be the measure I think Amorim's measured on, because if they're looking at, as long as they're seeing improvements, which they clearly are behind the scenes, and there are I think we have made improvements in certain areas. We need to get better, that's for sure. But there are some marginal improvements from last season as well, as I mentioned earlier. I think our pressing looks really effective and really good at times. I think we're calmer and better on the ball. I think we are creating chances. We're just not putting them in the back of the net and not being, clinical in front of goal. And then it's the freaking mistakes at the back, isn't it? Not tracking runners, goalkeeper errors. It's annoying. And it does need to improve. And, so we've got that. So yeah, but give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, Simon Stone also said that while sources close to Sir Jim Ratcliffe have insisted he remains supportive of Ruben Amorim and point to massively improved data as a reason for their continued belief in him, others argue that statistics mask chronic underperformance. So cautious with the stats, I think there's the way I would describe that. That yes, we are making improvements in some areas, but for every time I would say, our XG's better, or touches in the box, and you've seen all the stats and the data and stuff, ultimately win percentage, averaging a point per game. Do you know what I mean? There's a counter argument that actually, yes, okay, so we've got a higher XG or a better shots per game, or more possession and all of that stuff, but actually we're still averaging a point per game, which is relegation form. That's the kind of counter argument. While it says yes, things are improving, but we need to get the results of that because it is a results-based game. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, this came out from Samuel Luckhurst, who, boohoo, is leaving the Manchester Evening News. been announced today. It's going to be sad to hear his shit-stirring stories, but he is connected, so that's why it's annoying. But Manchester United players frustrated by missed opportunity was the headline. In the report, he said that Manchester United players are concerned of how swiftly the mood has changed at the club following 2 defeats from their opening 4 Premier League fixtures. Dressing room sources say that mood after the derby has been particularly sombre, with United players ruining a missed opportunity against a City side that had lost their previous 2 games against Tottenham and Brighton. Well, they've only got themselves to blame, isn't it? Because they're the ones that cross the line, and they're the ones that ultimately have to do the job, isn't it, on the pitch? But I don't like the fact that it's a bit of a shit-stirring story from Samuel Lucas, who, as I mentioned, is now leaving the Manchester Evening News. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on all of that in the comments below. Let's move on to some other news. So Manchester United, Chelsea and Newcastle are all interested in a potential transfer move for midfielder Eduardo Camavinga, capable of playing defensive midfield or left back. He is very high on United's list of midfielders for next season. That came from Court Offside. Court Offside have some mixed journalists that work for them, some decent, some medium. This is from one of their medium journalists, so I would say take it with a pinch of salt. When I read the report, it felt very, very clickbaity because they were mainly talking about Chelsea, and whenever I read a report and a story and it's about one club and then they throw Man United's name in there as well, I think it's very, very clickbaity for me. Not that it would not be a bad player to go for. I would love Camavinga at United. I think he's an excellent player. I'm actually devastated that we didn't get him when we were interested in him when Solskjaer was in charge, and I think the reports were, I think Ollie said that himself, saying that the club wanted somebody more ready-made and weren't prepared to go for and take the risk on Camavinga. Where have we heard that before? Where have we heard that one before as well? But yeah, take that story with a pinch of salt. So while it is, like I said, very clickbaity, throwing United's name in there, actually went on to say that Chelsea might be interested in him because they want a little bit more depth in midfield, even though they've got Caicedo and Enzo. Doesn't really matter with Chelsea, does it? They'll just, I think if you've got a heartbeat and you play football, they'll probably look at signing you at some point in time. But not a bad player, though, to bring in if you've got the money and you can do it. I 100% would take Camavinga at United for sure, but I'd want to see way more credibility than where that story's coming from. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below. And then the final story I wanted to run through with you is coming from Give Me Sport, where they said, forget Ugarte, Amorim must brutally axe world-class Man United star versus Chelsea. Manchester United's poor form has opened up a whole range of debates as to who is not good enough in their squad to progress the club forward in the future, and one of those stars who should be called into question immediately is club captain Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes is simply not suited to playing in a midfield 2, with options more suited to the wing role in Amorim's preferred 3-4-3. It's time for the captain to be brutally dropped for the visit of the Blues to Old Trafford on Saturday. It did say in the report as well around, potentially United, looking back now, was it a case that maybe we should have sold Bruno and used the money to go for Baleba or Adam Wharton or somebody like that in the summer as well? But then they were saying that playing in the centre of the park doesn't suit him due to his lack of defensive nous and an inability to influence the game from deep. With Amorim buying 3 new players for his 3 attacking roles, it's tough to envisage where Fernandes fits into his plans, as opposed to Baleba or Crystal Palace starlet Adam Wharton. And it's a talking point, isn't it? Because it's more of an opinion piece than actually it's going to happen. But it's going to be a problem. And we knew this in the summer, didn't we, when we covered the news that, Bruno was saying, some of you were all saying it in the comments, that, maybe this could come back and bite Amorim because, playing Bruno in the midfield too is such a massive issue, an area. And so far, I would say it's not exactly working in there. But I wanted to bring that to you. What do you think in the comments? Let me know about that report. Would you be dropping Bruno Fernandes for Chelsea tomorrow? Do you think Amorim will drop him? I don't think there's a chance in hell that Bruno Fernandes is going to be dropped. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.